Welcome back to Pertinence. You know, the channel that takes a deep dive into the things that really matter.
That's right.
And today we're diving into something that could have a huge impact on everyone listening.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Specifically, your finances.
Your financial life.
Your financial life.
That's right. It's a brand new rule from the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau.
The CFPB.
The CFPB, that's right.
All right, so this is officially called the Personal Financial Data Rights Rule.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a big deal. A lot of people are talking about this, and for good reason.
Yeah.
It changes the way banks and other financial companies have to share your data.
That's right. Think of it as like a right to know.
Right to know.
For your finances.
Okay. So instead of being in the dark
Exactly.
about what data these companies are collecting
Yeah.
and sharing,
Yeah.
you'll actually have the power to get it yourself.
Yes. It's about shifting that balance of control
Okay.
from institutions to the individual.
So let's get into the specifics.
Okay.
Who is affected by this rule? Not just banks, right?
You're right. It's a lot more than just the typical banks. We're talking banks.
Okay.
Credit unions, card issuers,
Wow.
even those digital wallet providers that you use on your phone.
So pretty much anyone who touches my money in some way.
Exactly.
Okay.
But there is one important exception.
Okay.
Smaller banks,
All right.
those under a certain asset threshold are actually exempt.
So like my local credit union might not be impacted?
Not necessarily, right?
Yeah.
This is designed to make sure that smaller institutions aren't overwhelmed.
Yeah, that makes sense.
With all the complexities of this new rule.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. So let's say I bank with one of the bigger institutions.
Okay.
What kind of data are they required to share with me?
So this is where it gets really interesting.
Okay.
The rule says they have to hand over 24 months
Wow.
worth of your transaction and account balance information.
So 2 years.
2 years of your financial life.
That's a lot.
It's a comprehensive look at your financial activity
Yeah.
than what you probably have access to now.
Wow.
Okay, so there's more.
Okay.
They also have to share the terms and conditions
Oh, those things
of all of your accounts.
that I never read.
No more digging through all that fine print.
Right. I mean, nobody reads those.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, and there's one more piece that you'll appreciate.
Oh, what's that?
Payment initiation information.
So, like my account and routing number.
Precisely.
Okay.
Imagine being able to pay your friend back for dinner instantly.
Oh, yeah.
Using a secure app, all because you can easily share your account details.
Makes sense.
This rule makes that kind of seamless financial interaction possible.
So much data.
Yes, a lot of data is now yours.
Yeah, but are there any exceptions? Anything they don't have to share?
There are some specific carve-outs.
Okay.
So, for example, they don't have to disclose confidential business information.
So my company's trade secrets are safe?
Safe for now, yes.
Okay, that makes sense.
Uh.
I wouldn't want my bank just like handing that out. What about information related to like preventing fraud or money laundering?
Yeah, that's excluded too.
Okay.
Banks still need to be able to protect themselves and their customers from illegal activity.
So they can still like analyze data to catch the bad guys.
Exactly.
Okay, what about things like my medical records or anything else that's legally protected?
Those are off limits too.
Right.
The rule respects existing confidentiality,
Okay, good.
but there is one exception that's causing a lot of controversy.
Okay, now we're getting to the good stuff.
Banks can actually deny your requests for data.
Wait, hold on.
Yeah.
I thought this whole rule was about giving me more control over my data.
And that's why this exception is causing so much debate.
Okay.
The rule allows banks to deny requests if they believe sharing that data would risk their safety or security, or if it conflicts with other laws.
Risks to their safety or security. That sounds pretty broad.
It does, and critics are worried about that.
Yeah.
They're saying this gives banks too much leeway to just withhold data, potentially undermining the purpose of this whole rule.
Yeah, it sounds like it could backfire.
It definitely could if banks are too liberal with how they interpret this.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's a delicate balancing act, right?
It is. You want to empower consumers with access to their data,
Right.
but you also need to make sure that the financial system is stable and secure.
Okay. Okay, so how is this all going to roll out?
Well,
When do these changes actually take effect?
the compliance timeline is phased based on like the size of the institution.
Okay.
The biggest institutions, you know, the big banks and the financial companies,
Right.
those guys have to comply by April 2026.
So less than 2 years away?
Less than 2 years, that's right.
That's a tight deadline.
It is. They're under a lot of pressure to make sure their systems are updated
Right.
and that they can actually handle this new rule.
Yeah, what about those smaller institutions that are exempt?
Those guys have until 2030.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, but I imagine they'll probably want to start getting ready now.
I would think so, yeah.
It's going to require a lot of planning and investment, regardless of how big or small they are.
Right.
Yeah.
So let's say this rule goes into effect.
Okay.
I decide to switch banks.
All right.
Could my new bank see my financial history from my old bank?
That's right. That's one of the goals of this rule.
Okay.
Is to like enhance consumer mobility.
So like you can take your data with you.
Exactly. With your permission, your new bank could get that data from your old one.
Oh, that's interesting.
And that'll make the switch a lot smoother.
So no more starting from scratch.
No more starting from scratch.
Yeah.
It really puts you in control.
Yeah, that's pretty powerful.
It is.
But it also raises some questions for me
Okay.
about data security.
Sure.
If all my data is being shared,
Yeah.
how can I be sure that it's actually being protected?
Well, the rule actually addresses that directly.
Okay.
It requires these data providers to have really strong security in place.
Okay, so they had to actually protect my data.
Yes, they do with increased access. Comes increased responsibility.
How will we know if those security measures are actually working?
Well, the rule doesn't get into like the super specific technical stuff,
Yep.
but it does say that they have to comply with all the existing data security laws.
So it's kind of like a layered approach.
Yeah, it leverages what's already in place, the
Right.
legal frameworks and the industry best practices.
So the CFPB isn't just making new rules. They're making sure that the existing security is actually good.
Exactly, that's right.
I have to admit, I'm still a little uneasy
Yeah.
about potential data breaches and stuff.
I understand it's natural to be cautious.
Right. Especially with all those high-profile breaches we've seen.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
But your data is already being collected and shared.
that's true.
This rule at least tries to give you more visibility
Okay.
and control over that data.
So I'll at least know who has it.
Yes, you'll know who has it and what they're doing with it.
And if they do something bad with it, I can hold them accountable.
Exactly. With transparency comes accountability.
Okay, that makes me feel a bit better.
Good.
It's not about eliminating the risk. It's
Right.
about managing it.
That's a great way to look at it.
Yeah.
This rule has both opportunities and challenges.
Okay.
It's up to us to stay informed,
Yeah.
to engage in the conversation,
Right.
and to make sure that we're advocating for the best outcome.
Right. We have to use our voices.
We do.
Now, speaking of challenges,
Okay.
you mentioned those legal challenges.
Ah, yes, the lawsuit.
Yeah. That's kind of a wild card in all this, right?
It is. It could really derail this whole thing,
Okay.
or at least delay it.
So what are the main arguments in this lawsuit?
Well, those banking trade groups and that one community bank,
Right.
they're saying that the CFPB doesn't have the authority to make this rule.
So they're saying the CFPB overstepped.
That's what they're saying. Yeah.
Wow.
They say it's too broad, it's too much for institutions to handle,
Okay.
and it doesn't really protect privacy and security enough.
So they're basically against this whole thing.
They think it goes beyond what Congress wanted when they made the CFPB.
What happens if they win?
If the courts agree with them,
Yeah.
it could really slow things down or even stop it completely.
Wow. We could be back to square one.
We could, and that would be a huge setback for all those people who've been fighting for this.
Or data transparency. Yeah.
Yeah, and even if this rule survives the lawsuit,
Yeah.
it's going to face a lot of scrutiny and probably some changes down the line.
So this is just the beginning.
It is this whole thing with the rule and the challenges.
Mm.
It's a sign of a much bigger change that's happening.
Yeah.
We live in a world that's driven by data.
Right.
And who controls that data? Who benefits from it?
Yeah.
How do we protect it? These are becoming the most important questions.
So it's not just about our finances.
No.
It's about all of our data.
It's about the future of data privacy and control.
And this case could set a precedent.
Absolutely, for how we handle and protect data in the digital age.
What can I do to make my voice heard?
Stay informed. Pay attention to what's happening. Learn about your rights.
Right.
Learn what these changes really mean.
So don't just trust that the institutions are going to do the right thing.
Right. Be a part of this whole conversation. Talk to your elected officials. Support the organizations that fight for consumer rights.
Yeah.
And just make your voice heard.
So it's not just about understanding all this technical stuff.
No,
It's about the bigger picture
it is.
and using our power together to shape the future
That's right.
of data privacy and control.
This is a battle for the future of our digital lives.
Yeah. And it's just getting started.
It is.
Now, before we wrap things up,
Okay.
there's one more thing I find really interesting,
Okay.
and it's about the impact this could have on innovation. We've talked about how this could be good for us
Right.
and the challenges for the companies
Yeah.
and even the legal battles. But what about the long-term effects on the financial industry, like as a whole?
That's a good question.
Could this actually lead to some really cool new innovations?
I think it could definitely, I think the answer is yes.
Okay.
When you give people control over their own data,
Yeah.
it forces companies to compete,
Okay.
to offer better services and products.
So they actually have to work for it
Exactly.
instead of just holding on to our data.
Right. Imagine a world where you could easily compare what different banks are offering,
Oh, yeah.
not just interest rates,
Right.
but also how they handle your data,
Oh, yeah.
their security measures, the control they give you.
Yeah.
That kind of transparency could lead to a ton of new innovation.
So we could see banks offering like more personalized tools,
Yeah.
maybe even apps that help us manage our data.
Absolutely. And it's not just banks.
Oh, okay.
Think about new fintech companies popping up,
Okay.
specializing in data management, financial analysis, data security even.
So like a whole new industry could be created.
It's possible this rule could create a whole new ecosystem of businesses,
Wow.
all focused on giving you control over your data.
That's pretty exciting.
It is.
It's like this rule isn't just about protecting our data. It's about using it to
Exactly.
make things better.
It's about shifting from a model of hoarding data
Right.
to a model of sharing it and using it to help everyone.
So this CFPB rule,
Yeah,
it's complicated.
it is.
There are a lot of challenges,
There are.
but it could really change the financial industry for the better.
I think so. It can make it more dynamic, more competitive,
Yeah.
and ultimately put the consumer first.
This has been such a fascinating deep dive.
It has been.
We've learned so much about the rule itself,
Yeah,
what it means for all of us,
right.
what it means for these companies,
Mhm.
and really what it means for the future of data.
It's a really important topic.
It is, and it deserves a lot more attention.
It does. The stakes are high.
Yeah.
And how this all plays out will affect how we deal with our data for years to come.
And as always, Pertinence is going to be here
That's right.
to break down these complex topics, help you stay informed and make sense of everything that's happening.
If you found this deep dive helpful, please hit that subscribe button
Yes.
and the notification bell so you don't miss any future episodes.
And leave a comment below.
Yes.
Tell us what you think about this new rule.
Are you excited about the potential?
Are you worried about the risks?
We want to hear from you.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.
Thanks for listening.
Until next time, stay curious, stay informed, and stay empowered.